It appears that this structure was designed to be exclusively accessed by the sword's chosen one. But designs can always be worked around. At least I hope.
Whoa, 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 whoa. Wait a minute. So you're telling me that Zelda was aware of the fact that only the sword's chosen one may have access to the shrines. Plus, in her research notes, both her and Pura agree to the fact that the Sheikah Slate is the key to activating the guidance stones. But despite records indicating these facilities were built to specifically train the hero and the impending doom that was gonna reappear soon, you didn't even once let Link use the Sheikah Slate? And if Link managed to get in those shrines, there is a darn good chance that the results of the Great Calamity would have been different.
It's all my fault.
Gee, you think so? Insert random dumb paragraph here where I make some opening statement about Breath of the Wild being a good game, blah blah, side quests, blah blah blah, unsolved mysteries in the game, followed up with a Zelda personality joke, and then finally getting into the main topic of the video. And that is why today I am going to talk about the protagonist himself, Link. Being the main character, you would think that he would be one of the most well-developed ones out of all the people in the game's story. I mean, he's gotta have something about himself that makes literally every other character thirsty for him. Oh really, Robbie? You want me to undress just so you can see my battle scars? Yeah, that sounds real legit. It's not like there's anything else on me that proves that I'm the sword's chosen hero. Nothing at all. But aside from everyone wanting to see Link's, awakened Master Sword, there isn't much else we actually know about him. Thanks to the way the game sets up Breath of the Wild's lore and story, most details about him are vaguely mentioned in a couple of memories and some diary entries from the perspectives of other characters. Mipha loves him, Ravioli hates him, Daruk refers to him as his brother, and Urbosa teaches him how to cross-dress as a woman to get access to Gerudo Town. I'm not even kidding. This is revealed in the Champion's Ballad, and I for one think it's hilarious. So with someone that has been given little to no backstory or personality, you might think it's hard to come up with some sort of topic to discuss. And to be perfectly honest, yeah, it is. But this is the part where as a theorist you take what you know and begin to question that. So let's take a quick look at Link's backstory and try to go from there. Sometime before the Great Calamity, one of the knights of the royal family had a child. His name was Link and was an exceptional swordsman despite his young age. From Mipha's diary we know that at the age of 4 he was capable of defeating adults in combat. Yeah, you heard that right. A 4-year-old is able to defeat adults in sword fights. And if that wasn't enough to digest, later on when the Sheikah were trying to gain control of the Guardians, one had gone berserk and fired lasers everywhere. Without a worry for his own life, Link had stepped up and deflected the lasers with a potlet, destroying the machine. This act of bravery then caught the king's eye, and not much later, he was selected to become Zelda's appointed knight. Because of how this story is written in Daruk's journal, we can assume that this event had taken place not long before the inauguration ceremony. So he's probably around 16 at this time, similar to Zelda. A lot more realistic compared to the idea of a 4-year-old defeating grown men in duels, but still raises a few questions. We even see in one of the memories close to Death Mountain where Link is able to defeat more than 10 bokoblins and at least 3 Lynels, yet leaves the battle with only a few scratches. And Mipha even writes about a time where Link saved her from a Lynel attack and disposed of the enemy, noting that his swordsmanship was swift and graceful. So here is the question presented to us today. How can this one Hylian be this strong? Is it even possible to defeat adults in duels when you are at the age where it would be difficult to even swing a sword? And how could one Hylian be powerful enough to take on hordes of enemies, leaving with only a few minor injuries? That is what I'm going to try and answer today. First of all, we can automatically rule out his abilities coming from being a Hylian. Throughout the game, they don't have any particular special abilities or traits that could explain this. Hylians are essentially the equivalent of humans. Plus, Link would have been most likely dueling with other Hylians. So if they did all share some sort of power, that would mean that the adult would have the advantage due to being older and stronger. You might think that his skill in swordsmanship would come down to some sort of unnatural strength. I mean, how could an adult lose to a 4-year-old who probably would struggle just trying to pick up the weapon to begin with? But the thing about Breath of the Wild is that there is a huge variety in weapon types. Yes, the idea of Link swinging a Royal Claymore around seems a bit too much of a stretch, but there are plenty of swords and spears that a small kid could hold with relative ease. The Forest Dweller's weapons are crafted from wood, which would be a lot lighter than your average metal, and the Rito Craftsman had forged a lightweight double-edged sword which allowed the warriors to soar into battle without being restrained by the blade's weight. So Link having some sort of super strength seems very unlikely. With that said though, he has to have some sort of ability that made him different from the others. The king wouldn't just randomly select any Hylian to protect someone as important as his daughter. And here's why I believe this. In an attempt to defeat Ganon, 4 champions were selected to pilot divine beasts. Zelda was also vital because she was the bearer of the sealing power. And then we got Link. the bearer of the sword that seals the darkness. As seen in the game, the champions all have their own unique abilities. Mipha's Grace, Daruk's Protection, Urbosa's Fury, and Ravioli's Gale. Zelda also has a separate ability, which was the sealing power to defeat the ancient evil within Hyrule. Link is often referred to as a champion, yet had neither a special ability or divine beast. Back at the Game Awards when the Champions Ballad was released, Onuma stated that the Master Cycle Zero was supposed to be Link's own divine beast, since he was the one champion without one. So if this is true, does Link hide some sort of ability that was the cause of him being selected as Zelda's personal guardian? This is where I decided to go back and look at all entries regarding his past, making sure to analyze each one carefully. And then I realized that the answer was staring me right back in the face. Mipha's entry about the Polymus Mountain incident, where she stated that his swordsmanship was swift and graceful. But more importantly, Daruk's entry found within his training journal. When talking to Link about his power, he stated that when he truly focuses, it feels like time slows down. Swift movements, the perception of time changing when he attacks. That's when it all came together. Link's ability was the slowing down of time. You see this in his battles constantly whenever he dodges and performs flurry rushes or shoots using a bow and arrow in midair. Why use brute strength when you can just counterattack enemies with ease? And being a kid, he would be a lot more agile and flexible than adults. Daruk's journal also reveals that by the time he rolled down to help Link, all the monsters had already been defeated, probably because it was done so quickly that they didn't even stand a chance. This also explains how Link was able to easily counter the Guardian's beam when it malfunctioned. It would have been too fast for any normal person to deflect, but if you can slow down time to the point where even Guardian beams are at a standstill, it would be a cakewalk. It would also explain how time slows down significantly when a shield parry is successful, and there's no limit to how many times you can flurry rush or counter, increasing the chances of it being an actual ability that Link has, unlike the champion's powers that always seem to recharge after a certain amount of uses. And this power is no joke either. After doing some digging, I found a video that tested how much slower time flows when Link shoots an arrow. After testing, it was revealed that time is around 19 times slower when in this state. I even did the test several times myself, and the results were very similar to the video. If Link fought this way, battles would be over within fractions of a second. Even as a kid, he would be unbeatable. So now the question is, how did Link get this ability? Well, this is where the speculation begins. By looking at Yunobo's shield and Zelda's sealing power, it's clear that both abilities were passed on from generation to generation. Yunobo was a descendant of Daruk and therefore inherited the same power. Zelda's mother also was believed to have the sealing power since she was going to help Zelda in unlocking it. Revali created his own updraft ability and didn't appear to inherit anything. While Mipha was able to heal, Sidon didn't appear to have any powers himself. It's unknown whether they were passed down to Mipha since we have no information on her mother. And while many speculate that Riju was Urbosa's daughter, the timeline for that just doesn't add up. She could have been her grandmother, but when you think about it, Riju doesn't actually have any powers to control thunder. But there is some sort of power that she gets when wearing the Thunder Helm once you fight Naburus. Both Urbosa and her were chiefs, so the power could just be passed down from chief to chief. We know that Link had a father, but little is known about him. All we are given is that he had been a knight for the Royal Guard, but perhaps the power of time manipulation was passed down to him? And in my previous episode, I talked about the idea of runes being created. Could a rune allowing the user to slow down time even exist? At that time though, the Sheikah Slate hadn't yet been found. But all this definitely brings up the possibility of Link having his own champion ability. It would be a logical explanation for how good he is at combat, even training the Zora in sword fighting when he was at the domain. And with his power, even a giant horde of enemies wouldn't stand a chance against him in battle. It would make sense that the king would choose Link to be Zelda's appointed knight. Obviously this could all just be me overthinking it. But when playing this game, one of the things that made me always roll my eyes was the fact that a child could defeat older, more experienced swordsmen in duels. I'm just glad that I found a logical explanation for it, to be honest. And that's all for today's video. Thanks for watching. I wanted to get another video out since one hasn't been released recently. I know I said I was working on a huge project, and you were probably expecting that instead of this. But don't worry, that video is still coming. It will just take a bit of time to make. Besides that, I hope you enjoyed, and if you want to see more, make sure to subscribe. I can't express to you just how important it is to support channels that you love watching. It's pretty tough these days to get your videos and channel recommended on YouTube with all the clickbait stuff. I've also heard some people complaining about not getting notified about uploads on my channel, so make sure you enable that bell icon so you can stay updated with my newest stuff. I also have a Twitter, so you could follow that as well. My Discord link will be in the description as always, so make sure to check that out. I've been Nintendo Black Crisis, and I will see you guys later.